Hi, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are setting up my reading journal for the month of August, and I am doing a spooky bat theme this month. So the first thing I'm doing here is just showing you the products that I pulled out that I may or may not use. I didn't use one of the stamp sets or the washi tape. So I will have everything linked below that is still available. And then let's just jump right in. I am going to start this video by flipping through my September setup just to kind of show you kind of what it looks like once it's all filled in. And then we're going to jump right in. I'm using the Havana stamp set from Close to My Heart. I absolutely love this stamp set. It is so cute. So I'm going to stamp out spooky on the left-hand page, and I actually am stamping out the definition of spooky instead of a quote. And what I have written here is sinister or ghostly in a way that causes fear and unease, or eerie, semicolon, scary. So I thought that was super cute and would fit super well with my theme, so that's why I chose to do that. And honestly, I quite liked using a definition instead of trying to find a quote, so I might do that more. Now this first page, because clearly it's taking me a while to get all the stamping done, this first page, I have set it up so that I would do all of the stamping in my main border on camera. But when we move forward, you'll see that the title stamps and the main border of each page is already done. I went ahead and I did those ones off camera because if I left all of that in, the video probably would have been like an hour long. And no. So I'm going to be doing my normal monthly setup to where I just kind of fill in if I read that day or not. My daughter jumped up and joined me. She was obsessed with the little bats that I had sprinkled all over my desk. I will actually be using those bats as decoration for my pages. I cut them out using a die cutting set from Echo Park. I'm not sure if it's still available, but I do have something linked that's similar on Amazon in my description box. I'm not sure how noticeable it is, but I actually will be having two borders on each page. I'm going to have this main thick border that I used a MONOTwin Permanent Marker for. And then I'm going to have a very thin border right next to it, but I'm doing that one last, so you'll see me do that on each page because I want it to be broken up and behind the content of the page. And I'm sure once we actually start doing it, it'll make a little bit more sense. I thought that if I had it broken up, it would kind of add to the spooky feel of my spreads, if that makes sense. I do also come back in once I've chosen my colors, and you'll see that on the next page, I believe, when I do my time and method spread. I picked an orange color for, I think, 3+ hours of reading. I actually am using that color for my monthly spread where I go and mark off the day that I've read, and I kind of felt like I needed more orange in my layouts to kind of bring in those as well. So I come back in after I stopped filming and I was flipping through and looking at it again and decided that I was going to fill in all of the little lines in the Havana stamp set with that orange color, and you'll see it in the final flip through. It looks so good. So then we are moving on to my TBR, my method and time spread. My TBR is another thing that I finished filling out off camera. I do the whole page here, but I actually filled in the book names off camera. Now, if you watched my digital plan with me for the month of October, you already know what my TBR is because it's the same list. I've just got it physically written in my reading journal as well now. And then I do have a little key for my TBR. I'm not sure if I've actually spoken about this before, but once I start reading a book, I put a little dot next to it, which is going to be that final column on the right. And then when I finish it, I go back in with a little bit thicker of a micron and turn the dot into a star. And then if I don't read it, I just leave it blank. But if I really wanted to read it and I didn't get to it, I'll add the little arrow and move it to my next month's TBR. And for some reason, I feel like I need to put that arrow on the current month. And then so last month, I did my method for audio, physical, and digital books as just kind of a line. And I was just filling in dots for each day of the month that I read that method. And I really liked that. I felt like it didn't take up too much space, especially with me adding a whole bunch of doodles right below it to do my how long I read for each day. So I'm going to do that again this month. And then for my time read this month, I'm going to be using little bats. And as I mentioned earlier, I did use the Echo Park die cut set to create the bats that I'm adding to each page's decoration. So I had some cardstock that had, negative bat space. So I actually took that cardstock and used it as a stencil to draw some of these bats. If you paid attention while I was numbering them, I definitely was one bat short and did not have 18 in there, so I added a little tiny hand-drawn bat in the middle to make up for that. I also didn't write my times down. I left them in pencil, so when I was going in and erasing everything, I realized that I never actually inked over them, so that will be fixed in the final flip through as well. So I had filmed all of this Tuesday morning and throughout Tuesday during the day, and I was gonna have it uploaded on Tuesday like I normally do, but I am in Florida and we just, had the hurricane, so I didn't want to risk trying to transfer everything over to the camera because our power was flickering a lot, and my husband did let me know that if it flickers in the middle of a transfer, I could lose all of my data that was on my memory card, and I just wasn't willing to risk that. So I am a couple days late, but here we are. Obviously I still have power because now it's Friday. Is it Friday? Yes, now it's Friday. So everything's great here. We still have power. We didn't actually lose power. We just had a lot of flickering, and there was no damage to our house or anything like that. So we were lucky. Yay! So anyways, moving on, we are doing my new words spread and my favorite spread. Both of these spreads are going to be very minimal, other than the ton of the ripped paper that I'm adding to the sides. I don't add a crazy amount to the new word spread because I never know how much of this spread I'm actually going to need. There's been times where I've filled up the whole page, and then there's been times where I've literally only added one word. So I like to leave it kind of bare just so I have it if I need it. And then my favorite book spread, I believe I might add a little bit more off camera. I think I might add another piece of paper to the other side of this spread as well, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, this one was probably the quickest spread because all I did was just kind of highlight every other line and outline the box for the image of my favorite book of the month. So then we will move on to my stats and totals page. These ones are always my favorite because I just love seeing all the data. I'm sticking once again with the same stats format that I did last month. I don't know if I mentioned this in my last 2 videos, but I actually messed this page up in both months. I wanted each time I did it to have a little tiny box at the top, and somehow the past 2 months I've managed to just not do that. So I finally was successful this month, and I honestly hesitated a little bit because if you can see my lines do not match up with what I actually drew. So I was even sketching it out, like trying to set myself up for failure. And then my totals page, I did actually pre-write out all the totals that I'm tracking. That way I don't make another mess up with my stamps and spell a word wrong. So that is why I like to do that, and I'm sure you could see that in my first spread, my spooky definition. I always, because the stamps that I'm using are the same size as like one grid block, maybe a little bit bigger, but whatever. So I always go in and just put one letter in each grid block and then fill in all of the letters for that one letter at the same time. So every O that's on the page that I'm stamping with my rubber stamps, my rubber letter stamps, I will stamp those all at the same time because I've got it written out already and I can see where all my O's are. So that's the main reason I like to do that. And then also so I don't start spelling things wrong randomly. And then, so I will go ahead and add my final border to this one. And then I believe that the last thing that I have on camera is me adding a sticker from a Studio Calico Halloween sticker set that's no longer available. So that won't be linked below, but that's where the sticker is from. And I think it came out super cute. So after I get that sticker, we're gonna fade to black and then come back and do my final flip through. So I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And if you made it to the end of the video, leave me a spooky sticker in the comments below. Or let me know what your favorite spread was this month. Thanks so much. Bye.